Con về rồi. Ba mẹ có ai ở nhà không?
This was something I always said when I got home, even though I knew the answer that was going to come. Most kids would love to have time away from their parents when they're growing up. I envied going to my friends' houses and having a nice home-cooked meal at times, or even seeing their parents. Because going home, I always cooked myself the same meal. I had broccoli and Chinese sausage on rice. I would usually just sit in front of the TV and wait for things in front of me to fall into place. I wanted my parents to come home and see me do homework, but most nights that never happened. I did not have a lot of friends either at Boston Latin Academy, but I hated going home, and as a result, I would end up staying in school and roaming the halls. It was strangely pleasing, but I didn't think anything of it. The thing was that I knew my parents were working hard to make ends meet, and my brothers were both in college at the time. But knowing that did not help the neglect I felt from them, and I felt alone. A couple years down the road, my parents were able to move us to the suburbs of Weymouth, and I was excited. I'd be able to be with my family, my brothers were finishing college, and I might be able to have a meaningful relationship with all of them. The key word was might. Nothing really changed. My mom and dad were still working. My middle brother just locked himself in his room, and my oldest brother moved to Vietnam before we even started. It was another start from square one, and I still felt alone by myself. The worst was when I was in Weymouth High School. Everyone here was already in their cliques, and I was one of the only 7% of Asian Americans that were enrolled at the time. I would often just sit at the lunch table at the library and just be by myself. I despised that school so much even though it had done nothing to offend me. I felt mediocre. One time I got into a fight with one of the hockey players because he yelled "Ching Ching Chong" while I was walking through the hallways, so I threw my body into him and clotheslined him. Where I came from, you don't take words like that. Experiences like those embodied all the childhood times of my loneliness as a kid in Dorchester, but it amplified it even greater. Emotions were racing. I was straight up depressed, where I couldn't even bother to leave my bed in the morning, and relegated myself to playing video games and skipping school. No one was really able to help me through this rough time in my life. Often to compensate for this loneliness, I tried to surround myself with friends. As a result, the people I connected to emotionally were the people I ended up being in relationships early on. These people ended up being my escape. I really did not have anyone at the time to go to, and as a result, my girlfriend became more like my therapist. This type of mentality was a double-edged sword because I invested so much into relationships and I was so happy. But as a result, my partner never felt the same way. It was just a one-way emotional street that they couldn't escape. I realized that I was just seeing people just to not be by myself. When first getting into relationships, I based the way I acted by watching TV shows and dramas. It did not take me long to realize I lacked my own substance and I needed to be my own person. But how can I be my own person if I didn't know who I was growing up? How can I be my own person if I didn't know what you're supposed to do with other people you love? I needed to find myself, and dating people on and on was not how I wanted to escape this loneliness. I learned no matter what, I'm responsible for my own feelings. Even though the fault may not necessarily be my own, I have to acknowledge what happened and learn from it and grow. Like with friends and relationships, I would often apologize for things that I knew that were not my fault, just to make sure nothing would happen. Growing up, I would just often self-pity myself or shut down as a defense mechanism like this. I lost a good handful of friends and meaningful relationships to people because of how I acted. And how I almost lost myself for a while, and I needed this time to find myself. I'm still trying to be my own person, and I'm still trying to develop an identity where I feel comfortable with. I forgot what it was like to have self-love for yourself. By growing through experiences like these though, I've even been able to cope and enjoy my own company. Things like walking really helped me because I used to walk around the waterfront, because I love the smell of the salt water and the sound of waves that crash along the walls. I love being able to live in the moment and be my own person. This was me. I didn't have to fake anything about it, and I was just enjoying myself. At the end of the day, I really wanted to feel like a proper son and brother to my family. This is something I strive for and want to do for them, and I know it will take some time. I work on myself each and every day, and I've been able to piece myself together through all the failures that I've gone through. Growing into a self-made person doesn't only help me, but it helps my family as well. It made me want to be a family member and take care of things whether they're home or not. I want to be a good son and a good brother, especially when no one's watching. And I can still do me because this is who I am, and this is what matters to me at the end of the day.